we're working continuously with the instructional designer, hiring some undergraduates who had taken the course previously and having them work as facilitators in the classroom. So they call them Learning Fellows.
They have these people like walking around who are like older than you or even younger than you, whose whole job it is to just make sure that you are understanding the material.
We circulate, we answer any questions, we facilitate group discussions and make sure that everyone's on the same page and groups are kind of on the right track.
At first you're like, oh, like I don't really know how this is gonna go, and then they get used to you, they get used to each other. You just see that they're working really well together. That's been really encouraging.
In the beginning of the class, the students are really hesitant to talk in front of the professor or to call him over to answer questions.
It can be intimidating to come to a professor with things that you don't understand and things that you don't know.
So sometimes it's literally just being like, no, it's okay, I'm gonna go get the professor and he's gonna come over, and just being there as a support when they're first new to the program.
The best thing about this course is the fact that the person that is working really closely with the student was someone who was in the place of the student a term ago or 2 terms ago.
I can help them, I think, in a different way than maybe the professor could or other people in their group could.
Having struggled through the class a lot through the beginning helps me really relate to some of the tougher topics that students might be struggling with in the class.
Just being like, yeah, I actually remember doing this exact problem, and being able to empathize with that.
Every exam, we went through the same stress. Every point of confusion, we also had that same point of confusion.
Because the classroom is flipped and students work on problems every day, it's a good way to demonstrate to them this is how you tackle a problem, this is how you approach it, and this is how you should be modeling your studying.
I really try to bounce it back to the groups. That's one of our jobs. Like, we're not really supposed to give them straightforward answer. Like, we really want to encourage discussion. And so after a while, they don't really need us there. Like, they'll get to a point where they'll begin asking their other group members as opposed to directing their questions towards us. And that's kind of the goal of the whole thing.
We have weekly meetings with the Learning Fellows. We talk about how to work with these groups, how to help out group dynamics. We also go over the actual material itself so they can adequately explain it or answer any questions about it.
There's typically some type of pedagogical aspect to it, so we are learning about teaching techniques as Learning Fellows, or learning about different techniques that might help us to better facilitate group discussions.
They're really for us to check in with everyone, have an environment that's confidential where we can just say anything, and to ask professors how they want us to handle situations, as well as just for us to develop and get better as professionals. Giving the professors feedback on how to deliver a topic that we know is coming up and is going to be particularly difficult.
And it's really just a way to get everything out in the open, because a lot of times the professors also don't have insight into what the students are feeling and what they're struggling with, so that's also just another point of contact between the students and the professors.
They've now become a part of the course team where we talk about what worked when you took the course, what didn't work, and what can we change to do better, and then get feedback from what's happening in the class, bring that to our teaching huddle with the professor, myself, the Learning Fellows, so we know how to change the course moving forward and then get feedback for the next time it's taught.
Nobody knows what it's like to be a student in that class better than a student in that class. And so when the faculty member is really able to hear that feedback and the student's able to hear the faculty member's goals, they're able to go back and forth in a way that really pushes things forward. The most successful teaching teams are able to bounce ideas off each other but really listen to each other as well.
The whole program involving the Learning Fellows really created a better atmosphere in the classroom. It was a lot more friendly and easier to learn, and the class felt much more doable.
I love being a Learning Fellow because it really just gives me a chance to pay forward the experience that I had in the class. And I think it's really rewarding to be able to see that aha moment.
Bringing in that peer interaction versus professor-student interaction is something that's really valuable and something I wish that a lot of other classes had and provided.